December winds bite through Washington's muddy streets. Inside the White House, President James Monroe spreads Latin American maps across his mahogany desk, watching European powers circle like predators. Tonight, his words will shatter diplomatic tradition forever. You stand at history's crossroads. European monarchs sharpen their swords for colonial reconquest, while America trembles between cowardice and courage. One presidential declaration will either doom the Republic or crown it Hemisphere's protector. The stakes? Everything. My hands shake as I review these fateful paragraphs. Each word could trigger war with Spain, France, Russia, empires that crushed Napoleon himself. Secretary Adams paces behind me, knowing we're about to challenge the world with nothing but principle. The doctrine springs from terror and ambition intertwined. Spain bleeds its American empire dry, France plots intervention, Russia creeps southward from frozen Alaska. Monroe must choose: watch European boots march through Caribbean paradise or risk national suicide. Support our channel. Subscribe so you won't miss exciting new videos. Your likes and comments inspire us to create more quality content. Together, we'll make this channel a place of knowledge and inspiration. Thank you for your support. 1823 dawns crimson with revolution smoke choking Latin America. Simón Bolívar's cavalry thunders across Venezuelan plains while Mexican rebels dance on Spanish graves. In European parlors, aristocrats debate whether Holy Alliance bayonets should restore order. We must stand alone. I pound the cabinet table, rejecting Britain's partnership proposal. Foreign Secretary Canning offers joint action, but I refuse imperial entanglement. America proclaims her own principles, I declare, my voice echoing through these hallowed chambers. Monroe's weathered fingers trace Virginia battlefield maps, remembering British redcoats burning his plantation during the Revolution. Now Latin patriots face identical European fury. History's wheel turns full circle. Will America abandon liberty's children as Europe once abandoned her? You witness explosive cabinet meetings where Calhoun pounds desks demanding military action. Clay shouts for immediate recognition. Adams counsels diplomatic revolution. Monroe sits silently, knowing one wrong word could destroy the republic Washington built with blood-soaked hands. Secret dispatches flood Washington like apocalyptic warnings. Russian warships prowl California's Golden Coast. French regiments mass behind Pyrenees peaks. British admirals patrol Caribbean waters like sharks, sensing blood. Each report confirms Monroe's darkest nightmares about European resurrection. I craft each sentence like a swordsmith forging steel, sharp enough to cut through European arrogance, balanced enough to avoid triggering immediate war. Monroe reads my drafts by candlelight, crossing out weakness, adding steel to America's diplomatic spine. You feel Monroe's impossible choice crushing his shoulders. Recognize revolutionary governments and enrage European legitimists. Stay neutral and abandon liberty's champions to monarchical wolves. Choose principle over survival, or survival over soul. Both paths lead through hell. November's dying leaves mirror diplomatic certainties crumbling outside cabinet windows. War Secretary Calhoun's fist crashes onto polished mahogany, demanding action. Treasury Secretary Crawford warns of financial apocalypse. Monroe listens like a judge weighing civilization's fate in his trembling hands. I remember European courts where Napoleon's shadow still haunts marble corridors. Aristocrats treated American diplomats like amusing colonials begging recognition. Now these same crown parasites plot our hemisphere's reconquest. My pen becomes democracy's sword against tyranny's throne. Elizabeth Monroe watches her husband age decades in weeks, each dawn bringing fresh diplomatic catastrophes. She remembers young James riding to Revolutionary War battles, believing in America's destiny. Now he must decide whether that destiny includes hemispheric guardianship or national suicide. You witness Europe's unholy trinity: Austria, Prussia, Russia, pledging to strangle democracy wherever it breathes. French armies already march through Spanish mountains, restoring Ferdinand's absolute monarchy. Monroe reads intelligence reports knowing Latin America faces identical strangulation unless someone intervenes. Foreign Secretary Canning's proposal arrives, wrapped in silk diplomacy but hiding steel calculations. Britain opposes European intervention while pursuing commercial dominance in Latin markets. His joint declaration would serve London's interests while shackling America's independent diplomatic wings. December arrives like Judgment Day, with European ambassadors circling the White House like vultures. Spanish Minister de Onís protests rebel recognition through gritted teeth. French Minister Neuville warns against interference. Russian Politica questions American authority with aristocratic contempt. Monroe faces international fury. I pace these corridors until dawn, weighing America's few thousand soldiers against European armies that devoured Napoleon's millions. Declaration without military backing invites ridicule or invasion. Yet silence means abandoning liberty's sacred cause to monarchical resurrection. Sleep eludes me. You observe Adams dissecting international law like a surgeon, seeking precedents for Monroe's revolutionary announcement. European diplomats invoke divine right and ancient tradition. Americans champion popular sovereignty and natural law. Two worldviews prepare for intellectual warfare across the Atlantic. Monroe recalls 1790's missions to European capitals where aristocrats treated American envoys like curiosities from savage lands. Now he possesses power to command respect through bold action, transforming former colony into hemisphere's self-appointed guardian against Old World tyranny. Old Hickory's letter arrives from Tennessee frontier like cannon fire. Our government must act with energy, Jackson writes, his words dripping frontier confidence. I weigh his military enthusiasm against Eastern caution, knowing sectional divisions could shatter our fragile union. The president's annual message traditionally discusses mundane domestic affairs: roads, canals, Indian treaties. This year demands revolutionary exception. Monroe inserts explosive paragraphs addressing European threats, each sentence a diplomatic bomb designed to reshape international relations while avoiding immediate war. European ministers will dissect every syllable for weakness or aggression. My experience negotiating with Castlereagh and Metternich guides each carefully chosen word. I craft phrases designed to impress foreign capitals while rallying American public opinion behind our administration's audacious gamble. You witness Capitol Hill buzzing with leaked rumors about Monroe's plans. Warhawks salivate over confronting European powers. Federalists tremble about military overextension. Republicans split between isolationist tradition and hemispheric ambition. The president must unite these fractious factions. December 1st arrives with European capitals holding their collective breath, awaiting America's response. Dispatches report French invasion discussions, Russian territorial demands, British naval maneuvers. Monroe's message will either establish American credibility or expose national impotence before watching empires. America's strategic position resembles David facing multiple Goliaths. Spanish treaty remains hostage to political negotiations. Military forces number fewer than 10,000 scattered souls. Navy possesses handful of ships against European armadas. Yet Monroe believes moral authority trumps material weakness. I argue that European intervention violates natural law itself. Nations born in liberty cannot submit to imposed tyranny. My philosophical framework transforms Monroe's gut instincts into sophisticated diplomatic theory, elevating American resistance from mere nationalism into universal principle defending self-determination. You witness Monroe's final cabinet meeting where history pivots on presidential will. He announces American opposition to European colonization and intervention while pledging non-interference in existing European conflicts. Cabinet members recognize they're witnessing diplomatic revolution redefining America's global role. Anticipation electrifies Washington's corridors like lightning before storms. Congressmen sense momentous announcements approaching. Foreign diplomats report mysterious activities to their capitals. Newspaper editors speculate wildly. Monroe guards his revolutionary secret, knowing premature revelation could undermine diplomatic surprise. December 2nd dawns clear and cold as I review my annual message one final time. These words will echo through history's corridors long after my bones turn to dust. My hands remain steady despite knowing I'm challenging the world. Congress assembles for routine presidential ceremony, unaware they'll witness America's diplomatic declaration of independence from European subordination. Monroe enters carrying papers that will transform international relations. His calm demeanor masks revolutionary intentions hidden within constitutional tradition. You watch congressional attention shift from boredom to electric alertness as Monroe reaches foreign policy paragraphs. Representatives lean forward like theater audiences witnessing dramatic climax. The chamber falls silent, every member grasping they're witnessing history's pivot point toward American hemispheric leadership. American continents are henceforth not subjects for future European colonization. Monroe's voice carries clearly through congressional silence. These 37 words shatter centuries of European assumptions about New World subordination, announcing America's transition from colonial dependency to hemispheric guardian. You witness European diplomats' immediate reactions as news spreads through embassy corridors. British Minister Stratford Canning recognizes opportunity despite American independence. French ambassador refuses comment while drafting urgent dispatches. Spanish minister predicts American humiliation. Each response reveals national calculations. Monroe continues his revolutionary declaration. We consider any European attempt to extend their political system to this hemisphere dangerous to our peace and safety. The president's measured tone contrasts sharply with his message's explosive content, America claiming hemispheric guardianship. Support our channel. Subscribe so you won't miss exciting new videos. Your likes and comments inspire us to create more quality content. Together, we'll make this channel a place of knowledge and inspiration. Thank you for your support. I watch congressional faces during Monroe's announcement, reading sectional calculations behind patriotic masks. Southern representatives appreciate slavery protection from European abolition. Western members applaud territorial security. Northern merchants calculate Latin American trade opportunities. Diverse interests unite behind hemispheric vision. The president pledges American non-interference in European affairs, while demanding European non-interference in American hemisphere. Monroe's careful balance between isolation and intervention defines revolutionary diplomatic approach, selective engagement, protecting vital interests while avoiding entangling alliances that compromise independence. You feel the doctrine's shockwaves rippling through international relations like earthquake tremors. European newspapers debate American pretensions with aristocratic rage. Latin American leaders celebrate potential protection. British merchants anticipate expanded trade opportunities. The Monroe Doctrine instantly reshapes global calculations. British Foreign Secretary Canning's response arrives weeks later, carefully crafted diplomatic prose hiding steel calculations. London welcomes American opposition to European intervention while rejecting exclusive American hemispheric claims. Britain's support strengthens Monroe's position while preserving commercial interests throughout Latin America. French Foreign Minister Chateaubriand's response drips aristocratic contempt for American pretensions. Paris considers Monroe's doctrine mere bluffing by weak republic unable to enforce grand declarations. French officers began planning potential military responses to this unprecedented diplomatic challenge from former colonies. Russian Minister Nesselrode dismisses Monroe's pretensions with Siberian coldness. St. Petersburg refuses acknowledging American authority over Pacific territories or accepting limitations on Russian expansion. Tsar Alexander views the doctrine as democratic poison threatening legitimate monarchical authority throughout Europe's established order. You observe Spanish desperation following Monroe's announcement as Madrid recognizes American backing effectively dooms any reconquest attempts. Spanish generals abandon invasion plans while diplomats protest American interference in legitimate sovereign rights. The doctrine delivers Spain's American empire its final death blow. Latin American patriots celebrate American protection like prisoners witnessing dawn after endless night. Simón Bolívar praises Monroe's sublime ideas while continuing liberation campaigns. Mexican leaders welcome hemispheric solidarity against European intervention. Brazilian Emperor Pedro embraces American guarantee against Portuguese restoration. Monroe's domestic critics attack the doctrine's bold assertions with partisan fury. Federalist newspapers mock Republican pretensions to global influence. Congressional opponents question constitutional authority for such sweeping commitments. Former President Jefferson privately worries about overextension, but publicly supports his protégé's diplomatic revolution. I explain the doctrine's legal foundations to skeptical foreign diplomats. Natural law principles support self-determination against imposed government. Geographic separation creates distinct spheres of influence. Balance of power theory justifies American hemispheric protection. My scholarship transforms political necessity into sophisticated doctrine. You witness the doctrine's enforcement challenges as American military weakness limits backing for bold diplomatic words. European powers test American resolve through various provocations. Monroe must rely on British naval support and diplomatic pressure rather than independent military action. Trade calculations emerge as American merchants recognize new opportunities. Commerce with Latin America expands dramatically following independence recognition and Monroe's protection promise. British competition intensifies while European rivals lose preferred access to emerging markets throughout the liberated hemisphere. I reflect on my doctrine's revolutionary significance. America claims equal status with European powers while rejecting subordinate colonial relationships. My presidential message transforms former colony into hemispheric guardian, announcing our permanent emergence as independent force in international politics and global power. European intellectuals debate the doctrine's philosophical challenge to legitimacy principles with passionate intensity. Metternich recognizes democratic infection spreading through Monroe's declaration. Liberal thinkers celebrate American defense of popular sovereignty. Conservative writers attack Republican pretensions threatening established order. You observe Adams preparing detailed instructions for American diplomats abroad, knowing the doctrine requires consistent implementation. Ministers receive guidance explaining America's peaceful intentions while maintaining firm resolve. The Secretary emphasizes defensive rather than aggressive posture, calming European fears. Congressional debates following Monroe's announcement reveal deep American divisions beneath patriotic unity. War hawks demand military preparation supporting diplomatic commitments. Peace advocates warn against European entanglements threatening domestic tranquility. Sectional representatives calculate regional advantages from hemispheric protection policies. The diplomatic pressure ages me visibly as European responses flood Washington like hostile artillery. Elizabeth worries about my constitution under enormous strain. Each morning brings fresh crises. Each evening finds me studying maps by flickering candlelight, weighing America's survival. British Admiral Cochrane reports shifting Latin American naval conditions to London. American merchant vessels increase dramatically while European ships face hostile reception in revolutionary ports. The Monroe Doctrine's practical effects emerge through transformed commercial patterns and military presence throughout Caribbean waters. You witness secret negotiations between Britain and America exploring cooperation parameters without formal alliance. Canning seeks American alignment supporting British interests. Adams pursues British naval support without compromising independence. Both powers recognize mutual benefits in excluding European intervention. The doctrine transforms American national identity as citizens, take unprecedented pride in challenging European powers despite military weakness. Newspapers celebrate Republican principles triumphing over monarchical reaction. Monroe's Declaration becomes a powerful symbol of American independence and democratic mission inspiring patriotic confidence. Russian expansion in Alaska immediately tests Monroe's territorial claims as American trappers report increasing Russian activity along Pacific coastlines. Diplomatic protests follow Monroe Doctrine principles while carefully avoiding military confrontation. The President's Declaration faces its first challenge in distant territory. Latin American constitutions increasingly reflect Monroe Doctrine influence as new republics embrace American political models over European alternatives. Democratic institutions spread throughout the hemisphere while European-style monarchies lose appeal among revolutionary leaders seeking legitimacy through popular sovereignty. You witness Monroe's annual message conclusion with domestic matters, but foreign policy paragraphs dominate public attention like theatrical spotlight. Newspapers reprint diplomatic passages while ignoring routine governmental business. The doctrine overshadows everything else, becoming the administration's defining historical achievement. European capitals coordinate responses to American challenge through diplomatic channels. Holy Alliance members discuss joint action against Monroe's pretensions. British diplomats work preventing continental intervention while protecting commercial interests. The doctrine forces European cooperation against expanding American hemispheric influence. You observe transformative consequences beginning to emerge across the hemisphere. American influence expands throughout Latin America as the doctrine provides security guarantees. European colonial ambitions shift toward Africa and Asia. The Americas divide along republican versus monarchical lines with lasting implications. I prepare detailed memoranda explaining doctrine implementation for future administrations, recognizing Monroe's Declaration establishes permanent American policy requiring consistent enforcement through changing circumstances, territorial disputes, and evolving diplomatic challenges that will test these revolutionary principles across generations. 20 years later, Monroe dies in New York poverty, knowing his doctrine transformed America from isolated republic into hemispheric power. European intervention never materialized as threatened. Latin independence survived monarchical reaction. The Virginia planters' bold declaration permanently altered global balance. You realize Monroe's genius lay not in military strength, but moral authority commanding respect. The doctrine succeeded through principle rather than force, inspiring democratic movements while deterring European aggression. America gained hemispheric leadership through revolutionary ideas rather than conquering armies. The Monroe Doctrine's legacy extends far beyond 1823's defensive intentions. Future presidents invoke Monroe's principles justifying Caribbean interventions, Pacific expansion, global conflicts. The doctrine evolves from defensive declaration into offensive justification, demonstrating how diplomatic innovations acquire unintended lives. Today, my vision resonates across the Americas as democratic values face fresh challenges from authoritarian powers. The Monroe Doctrine reminds us that small nations can defy great empires when armed with principles worth defending. Sometimes moral courage trumps military might,